Cape Cod is a peninsula in Massachusetts that's become a popular tourist destination thanks to its beautiful scenery, unique culture, and excellent seafood. From visiting the gorgeous coastal town of Chatham to experiencing the exquisiteness of Martha's Vineyard, join Viewcation as we look at the best things to do in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Visit the gorgeous coastal town of Chatham. The peninsula of Cape Cod is filled to the brim with charming little locations, and the gorgeous coastal town of Chatham is amongst the best. It has some of the most historical significance as well. Chatham has been in existence for centuries, and some of its historical landmarks date back as far back as the early 18th century. The oldest notable landmark is the Godfrey Windmill, though the Chatham Lighthouse is a bit more popular. The lighthouse, however, is far from being the only notable lighthouse that can be visited on Cape Cod. There's also the Chatham Marconi Maritime Center, as well as the Chatham Railroad Museum. The Chatham Marconi Maritime Center is a museum dedicated to the history of notable shortwave radio stations that operated out of the town of Chatham for years, and the Chatham Railroad Museum is located in a former railroad station. Known as Chatham Station, the location was added to the National Register of Historic Places in the late 70s. Check out the quaint seaside town of Provincetown. Another quaint and gorgeous seaside town is Provincetown. It sits at the very end of the peninsula and is among the more picturesque locations in the area. Stepping into Provincetown will make tourists feel like they've stepped into another time and place entirely, and there's plenty to explore while walking amongst its charming little streets. Some of the more popular landmarks include the Provincetown Museum and Pilgrim Monument. The Pilgrim Monument is a massive structure built in the early 20th century to celebrate the original landing of the Pilgrims. Tourists can climb to the top of the massive structure, where they'll be treated to one of the most encompassing views of Cape Cod that the area has to offer. Meanwhile, the Provincetown Museum is another museum showcasing interesting aspects of Cape Cod's history. It has an emphasis on the landing of the Pilgrims and the way they changed the culture of the region. Visit the town of Falmouth. Falmouth is located just across from Martha's Vineyard, which is an island location we'll get to in a minute. Although Falmouth is no Martha's Vineyard, there's plenty to do and enjoy within the coastal town. Some of the most notable landmarks are the Nobska Lighthouse, which is among the many historical lighthouses that can be found on Cape Cod, and Falmouth Beach. Check out the wilderness of Nickerson State Park. Cape Cod has plenty of beautiful wilderness areas to appreciate. Many of these can be found within the boundary of Nickerson State Park. Whether you're looking to camp for a couple nights or just stay for the day, there's an incredible amount for nature lovers to enjoy within the park. One of the most beautiful sights is Cliff Pond, a pond that feels relatively secluded compared to other areas of Cape Cod. Adventurous visitors may want to take a walk around the Cliff Pond Loop Trail, which would give them the opportunity to see all the bits of scenery found around this peaceful location. Before we tell you more, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Viewcation if you haven't already. Check out the village of Hyannis. Compared to the places we've already talked about, there's quite a bit less going on in the village of Hyannis. However, that's part of the reason it stands out. Visiting Hyannis is liable to offer tourists quite the reprieve. There are a few culturally significant locations that can be visited there, and these include the Cape Cod Museum of Art and the John F. Kennedy Memorial. It's a monument created in honor of the assassinated president shortly after his death. Hyannis is a great location to grab some authentic local cuisine. There are numerous restaurants found within the village offering local seafood. While this is true of any populated area in Cape Cod, the restaurants in Hyannis are something special. The most popular eatery that can be found is Spanky's Clam Shack and Seaside Saloon, but there are plenty of less crowded locations too. Visit the town of Sandwich. The town of Sandwich sits at the base of the peninsula and faces the beautiful Cape Cod Bay. The most attractive part of Sandwich is its general quaint charm, but there are also some notable landmarks. Some of those include heritage museums and gardens, as well as the Sandwich Glass Museum. Heritage Museum and Gardens features 100 acres of beautiful natural sites, and the Sandwich Glass Museum showcases a plethora of beautiful glassworks. Not only does it have modern glass pieces, but it also showcases pieces of glasswork that date back to the 1800s. Go for a bike ride along the Cape Cod Rail Trail. If you're sick of being boxed up in the car on your Cape Cod trip, you may want to rent a bike and take a ride along the Cape Cod Rail Trail. It's one of many notable trails that can be found along the peninsula, but it's become one of the most popular thanks to the fact that it's entirely paved. It's over 20 miles long, and biking it is quite the experience. Experience the exquisiteness of Martha's Vineyard. While Martha's Vineyard is technically not a part of the peninsula, it's often lumped in with Cape Cod due to its location just south of it. Located across the water from Falmouth, Martha's Vineyard is undeniably one of the most popular tourist destinations not only in Cape Cod, but also in Massachusetts. It in fact ranks among the most popular tourist locations on the East Coast. It's common for people to visit Falmouth and Martha's Vineyard in one fell swoop given their proximity. But Martha's Vineyard is certainly the location to focus on if you can only visit one or the other. It offers some of the most stunning scenery that can be found in the region, and it has a great deal of quaint coastal culture to experience. Some of the notable landmarks include the Aquina Cliffs Overlook, Joseph Sylvia State Beach, the Flying Horses Carousel, and Gay Head Lighthouse. Aquina Cliffs Overlook offers a chance to check out some of the island's natural scenery, and Joseph Sylvia State Beach stands as one of the island's most beautiful beaches. Meanwhile, Flying Horses Carousel has been standing since the 1800s and is considered to be the oldest working carousel in the U.S. And the Gay Head Lighthouse is yet another of the many historical lighthouses that can be visited around Cape Cod. Now it's time to hear from you. Did we miss any of your favorites on Cape Cod? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Viewcation if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.